Hey, let's take a look at your LT2 assignment from MT6. Before we start, as usual, don't forget your name. Can't give you any points if you don't include your name. Now, on questions 1 through 3, Lucas he's making a breakfast cafe. He needs 4 eggs to make a quiche. So the number of eggs to make a quiche, I'm going to let that be X. And he needs 6 eggs to make crepes. So I'm going to let that be Y. And he has a total of 48 eggs. So now we're going to write our equation. So we're going to say 4x plus 6y equals 48. Now in question number 2, there are infinite, well, no, and that's not correct. There are multiple correct answers, but there are not infinite correct answers because we have a constraint. Since we're talking about the eggs, our eggs have to be a whole number. So you can't have a decimal for either X or Y. So how are we going to approach this? Well, what I would do is I would graph 4x plus 6y equals 48. So we're going to go 4x plus 6y equals 48. Now, like on decimals, because we don't have to get y by itself. Now, notice here, the other thing, the constraint, is we can't have negatives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this down. Now, I do see I've got some points in here I can use. Let me pull that up to where the home was again. And what happens is I can definitely see 0.8 is an answer. I can definitely see 12.0 as an answer. And I want 3 answers. So what I'm going to do here, I can see this. Now notice when you're at 1, you'd have one, what do we say? If you had 1 quiche, you'd have a decimal number for the number of eggs for a crepe. So that won't work. 2 won't work because, once again, you got a decimal. You got to find a grid point. There we go. We can see 3. I can't quite get my... There we go. 3 and 6 would work. And then if 4 won't work, 5 won't work, 6 and 4 would work. And then we got some decimals. Here we go. 9 and 2 looks like it'll work. Plot it there. And that won't work, and 10 won't work. So you can see you got multiple correct answers, but that's all we have to do for that one. So you could pick your third one. Now, if we take a look at question number 3, we have a second equation here we can use. So in our second equation, it says he made 7 more quiches than crepes. So my second equation, since quiche is x, that'll equal to y plus 7. Now, to solve this by substitution, I'm going to replace my x with y plus 7. So where I have x in equation 1, I'm going to write y plus 7. So we're going to say 4, whoops, I got the highlighter there. Let me undo that. So we're going to say 4 times x, but x is y plus 7, plus 6y equals 48. Now, we're just going to solve that equation. Distribute the 4 in the side, so you get 4y plus 28 plus 6y equals 48. Now, we're going to keep on solving that. I'm going to slide down here a little bit so we can see some more work here. And combine your like terms. 4y and 6y is 10y. So I'm going to say 10y plus 28 equals 48. So let's move the 28 over, subtract 28 from both sides, and 10y equals 20. Divide both sides by 10. Y is 2. So he can make 2 crepes. Now, how do I find x? Well, I'm going to replace y. I could use either equation, but I like, whoops, what happened there? I moved it to the other side, and I just wanted to get my pointer. So I'm going to replace y with 2. So I'm going to say x, pen, there we go. So x equals y, which is 2, plus 7. That'll be x equals 9. Since it's a word problem, we want to answer in a complete sentence. So we're going to say, who are we talking about? Lucas can make 9, in this case, quiches. Oh, that's all they asked. And 2 crepes. But that's what we got to do. Okay, on question number 4, we're going to approach this the same way. And notice z is by itself. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to replace z in my first equation with 2y plus 1. So I'm going to copy down the rest of the problem. I'm going to say negative 4w plus 5, and then since z is 2w plus 1. I didn't mention that in problem 3, but when you replace an expression, use parentheses, equals negative 19. Now we're going to go through our same process. Negative 4w plus 10w plus 5 equals negative 19. We'll combine our like terms again. Negative 4w plus 10w, well, that's 6w. Plus 5 equals negative 19. I'll move the 5 over, so minus 5 from both sides. And we get 6w equals negative 24. I'll divide both sides by 6. W equals negative 4. So I've got W. Now I want to go back and find Z. And I will use my second equation here again. My second equation is solve for Z. I'm just going to replace W with negative 4. So I'm going to say Z, pen, Z equals 2 times negative 4 plus 1. So Z equals negative 8 plus 1. So Z equals negative 7. You're fine leaving it like that. Z is negative 7. W is negative 4. But since we're talking a system, W comes before Z in the alphabet, so I think it would be safe. Dang it. Always want to use my pen when I'm doing this, and I always forget. So Z, or W is negative 4, and Z is negative 7. So as an ordered pair, be negative 4, negative 7. And I think that's it for the first page. Yeah, that's it for your first page.